Hey guys, my name is Sediak and welcome back to another episode of OilTown here in City Skylines 2, where last episode, well, we don't talk about the last few episodes, they've been pretty stressful. But today, it's going to be even more stressful, boys, because we're going to be dealing with the public transportation lines and systems within our city and within our island. Now, I'm going to throw it out there to begin with. We may or may not be implementing a subway system. Well, I've said it. I've spoken it into existence, so now it has to happen, right, guys? I don't make the rules. It now has to happen, right? But the issue that we do have right now is I built the bus lines some time ago, and since then, the city has expanded ever so slightly. Meaning the bus routes don't really go where we want them to go anymore, and they also now go places that didn't really exist when I built them, like this new oil well layout. Been all over the place, but it is what it is. We continue to push through, boys. We continue to push through. So what it means is we've got to kind of redesignate and redesign our transportation system because the buses are getting overloaded. Now, I don't know if you'll see it now, but some of the buses were over 100%. It depends when, what time of year, what time of day and stuff like that, and where they're all going. But we've had to overload the lines with more buses just to be able to upkeep the transportation numbers. And what it does is it creates big queues here. Right now it's not so bad, but it comes in waves and stages when we start seeing big queues. So a subway system might be a good idea, running it from one down there through here and up. But let's take a first look at where our residents currently live. So right now we have the majority of our residents here in the big tall skyscrapers, and the same over here as well, the big tall buildings. And then when you look at the shopping areas of where they then want to go, it's technically within the same areas. So it's like, well, why are the buses being overloaded? Well, it's because people from here want to get to these shopping areas and people from here want to get to them shopping areas, vice versa. But also they do the majority of their work in the industrial areas down here. But then you have a few jobs up here for the oil wells as well. So they consistently need to keep getting back and forth, which makes sense on the bus lines. Plus, the entry and exit point to the island is here in the middle of this back and forth area. So you can see why it does get slightly busy. So we're hopefully going to solve it. Or best case or worst case scenario, I should say. I make it worse. Best case scenario, we've got another form of public transport. Guys, if you haven't enjoyed this series so far, then please make sure you smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you're new around here so you get notified when more episodes do come out. Don't rely on the recommended tab, guys. Subscribe so you get notified. So, before I look at subway systems, metro lines, all that jazz, what I first want to look at is how we can improve the bus system and experience for the hub here. Now, whatever we do here, I kind of want to replicate the bus hub in this area over here somewhere as well. So let's first take a look then. So we're currently utilizing the small bus station. Now I can implement, if I'm not mistaken, a larger bus one. Okay, that's way too big for this area. It's also a tile too big as well. So is there any upgrades I can do to the small bus station? There is. So I can add extra platforms. Okay. I can add a taxi stop, which they both connect to the building itself. And I've also got the ability to add in some station services. Oh, okay, that's a separate building altogether. What does the station services do? It's a small kiosk and cafe for passenger convenience, increases the comfort levels of the station. Does it also mean I would make more money? I'm not particularly too sure. Now, all those upgrades attached to it, so if I kind of apply them anyway, those upgrades. So we've got the ability to have extra platforms because we are going to do more bus routes. The ability for taxis to come in and drop people off will be a big benefit as well. And then the station services, they're extra buildings on the side. Now I'll add those in a little bit later. It depends on how I do the layout. But one of my main issues is this here, is the buses get caught up with people walking in and out, which makes sense because they've got to get in or out. So is it possible to kind of make them walk into a different entry point, making the roads free for the buses to enter and exit? So let me attempt something real quick right now with a path. If this path here connected, let's say it just came up to here, for example. Okay, it does extend the building to touch to the path. And looking at it right now, it also allows people to enter from the rear of the building as well. which is going to save a lot of heartache and headache with the ability for people to kind of come in. That's kind of killed off the front of the building because they can now exit and enter from the front, which means buses can enter and leave a whole lot quicker. Look at how busy it's slowly becoming. So pause again one more time, right? How can we make this a lot better? Because if I can add the additional building for comfort, that will just make life a lot easier. But I also want multiple buses coming in. And, right, again, I'm going to throw it out there. It would be nice to kind of also integrate this with a subway connection as well. Now, there is no ability to put a subway connection on it. Is there an ability to put a subway connection on the bus terminal? Now, I'm thinking City Skylines 1. Let me just place this down real quick. So, by default, it doesn't have a subway connection, right? No. I'm thinking City Skylines 1, where you can have all these buildings that have additional connections. We have the ability to throw in extra platforms, a taxi stop, and an electric bus charging section. So there's nothing there that allows us to have a subway crisscross with buses. There's nothing that allows us to do that. So I might as well stick with this. Now, a subway building, we got the, oh, of course, we got to implement a subway yard as well. Small overground station, that's not what we want. Underground is what we want. But that's a big building. I can't implement that within there, can I? We've got the underground subway station. Oh, that's a small... Oh, that's perfect. Okay, that would be perfect, but there is a car park in the way. Elevated, elevated. Okay. So that takes up a 2x3 tile section. Right, do you know what? Let's get rid of the car park. Let's get rid of the car park. Let me just get rid of this road. Let me get rid of that building so I know what I've got to work with. Now... it would be nice for them to access the back point there. So if I put the subway station on the back point here, it means they'll be walking back and forth between the two. But I'm going to need a road to connect and snap it to it anyway. So if I delete this this path here, okay, right, that means I'll be able to now implement... oh, hey, there you go. Oh, we can get two down. And if I just slightly position this to go... actually, no, because I can put another path on that side. Or a road in general. Right, okay, right. There's so many ideas going through my brain right now. Let me just implement this. So if I put that road going across there and a road going across here, and then the road in the backside there to kind of connect it, that becomes quite a downtowny vibe connected area with alleyways and a bunch of access points for buses to go into. But the main point is they enter from the front here. Now, because we have this connected on the rear, it means that people are able to walk and exit from the back, thus allowing us to have a bit more space. Having a crossing point there now means they cross here, keeping the front of this as free as I can get it. Okay, you're still going to have people that will enter from the front, but it's as free as I can potentially get it, while also creating more walkability areas. So then for me, it's a case of just dropping the metro station, the subway station just here. Because obviously it's going to go back and forth this way, which makes life a whole lot easier for me, right? It does. Gives me a bit more room for zoning. I could add the services to this, which is an upgrade on the building itself. Now that becomes a main hub. There's more platforms, there's a taxi area, there's services. That becomes a major hub area. And they'll be able to crisscross between the two buildings without upsetting the flow of the vehicles. Right. Let's see if I can replicate this somewhere over here. Now, if I can build it over here, we'll have two main hubs. Obviously, the metro station will go to the other metro station, which is bus station to bus station, which you could argue, what's the point in that when you're going to have buses go from bus station to bus station? It's a way of kind of hopping over rather than having to do individual stops, individual stops, individual stops, individual stops to get to it. It's a way you can hop over. I could integrate another subway stop here, but I'm also going to integrate another subway stop down there. And maybe you can run a secondary line that does the same thing, but then turns this way. So we have like a Y split here as it goes down to this part of the island. Oh, there's so many ideas here, guys. There's so many ideas. So eventually, when I've bought more tiles, a lot of these big buildings will be moved. Like the hospital, the college, those big buildings, we'll push them back a bit further once I've unlocked more tiles and we've zoned a bit better. So until then, I can't move then. But we do have a big car park here that has a path there. Are many people using this? Yeah, many people do use the path. They do walk through the park area. Maybe we can treat the double parks as the lead up to our big transit area. Because that there, while it is on the outskirts at the moment, when I build around it on this side, it'll become an integral part of the main hub. Which that will make a lot of sense as well. So, yeah, let's implement it here. Let's implement it here. So I'm going to get rid of this. And if I do the same of what I've done on the other side, if I just get rid of that path and utilize that as being a road. Now, the connection to the buses is going to be here, right? It would go there. Or I could build it on this side and flip it round to give us a bit more space. Yeah, let's do that. So if I implemented you there, and then built you and you here, which gives me that connection there, a bit of space. And then I kind of created a little outer section here to where I was able to then implement the subway station there. Now, question, if that's going to run down here, do I have that there or do I flip it that way for an additional stop eventually up this area? Because if that's going to go there, I can have an additional stop up there. Because the topography allows me to maybe bring another stop around here as a main focal point. We'll have buses. But that does make a little bit more sense maybe to implement. But am I going to have a stop around here? Oh, I can have a stop there. Actually, no, I can't have a stop there. Because if I did that, it eats into the water. Which means... and I can't do anything about it because the ferry lines... See that radius there? You can't terrain that, unfortunately. So, I've got to stop there. I could do a stop here. But the point was having one here is for the transition. It does make sense, though, to implement it. If I did that there, it's borderline a straight line almost. But there's no ability to run anything from this way. Unless I did turn it. So if I placed it down like that, that's not exactly where I want it. If I put it like just there. So then we'll obviously make this road go round again. So multiple connections there. It's like again, like a downtowny area. That'll give us transitions to do a bunch of different stuff with it. Who knows what will happen. But it allows me to have a better ability to... Let me go underground here. To turn this, to run it straight down. So if I don't implement the subway stop for the transition there, right, this is how it would look. So that going straight as I could make it, which would be to here. No issues, and I've got to then bend this. Now, that might be a little bit too early or too close for a bend. So if I went, for example, a 120 by a 120 there, and then we just utilized a complex curve. Which would do a 184-ish, 186, that would do. To kind of then bend that around and in. So it bends, it gives us the bend for the trains to turn, and then runs in its straight line. That's all it needs to do, because having that transition means I could then eventually extend this down to a subway stop here for this area. And then obviously this coming down can eventually end with a subway line down here. So if I was to implement one down, which again we have maybe the ability to either just drop a subway stop or build another transit system here. Because there's a lot of workers within this area. And I could use the buses to bring people to the metro, the subway. What do I call it? Subway or metro? I'm not too sure. Because we're not really utilizing the car parks that much, and they can park. When it takes away from the ability for them to park, they can park Actually, no, they can't park here. I just realised they actually can't park here. So if I do this here, and then add the additional buildings on, like that, add you, maximise it all out, get this to kind of connect down to there, which I then got to implement and squeeze in the metro station. Now, I always want it from the rear. That's where I want it, because of how they transition over to it. So I could just build it right here, and then it can walk over. Problem solved. Problem solved. Yeah, I like this, creating these little kind of individual transit hubs and crisscrossy points. You're almost creating like a spider's web in reality. So this would obviously lead up, and this will then lead out. And then we've got to create the bend. Leading in. The more I look at this, the more I don't like it. So what if I just went to hell with it and then just dropped the wildest 90-degree you've ever seen? What would happen? Visually, it looks a lot better, you know, but practically, it's probably not the best way to do it. So I've got to stop there. I've got to stop here. The more and more I look at this, the more it makes sense to implement a stop here. The more it makes sense for the transit hub. But the other side of it is I could use buses to be the way in which we kind of bring people to and from those areas. But it does make sense, doesn't it? Who else agrees that it would make sense? I won't do it today, but who else agrees that the harbour needs a subway or metro, a subway stop nearby to integrate it as part of the transit lines? You know what I mean? It does make sense. It does make sense. So before I do implement the metro lines, I keep calling them metro and subway. What does the game call it? The game calls it subway, so I'm going to try and keep calling it subway. I've got to build the subway yard to get trains on it, but I also need to set up the bus routes to bring people to and from it. So what I'm going to do now then is we're going to completely change the whole bus system. Now, what we'll do is we'll create a industrial bus route that starts in this hub, picks everybody up here and drops them all off and brings them back. That's its main artery connection. I'll do another bus route that does the exact same for this residential area, which will back onto the industrial bus route, but mainly go to this hub. Do one for this area, and then we'll create some buses that go back and forth between them, so they don't have to use the subway, but they can also use buses to get to those areas, but the buses go in different directions and pick up people along the way. So it's all about trying to make everything as intertwined and as connected as we possibly can. So with that said, I'm actually going to get rid of all of the bus routes, and we're going to start from scratch, from fresh. That's now gone, and we're going to get rid of, we'll start in the industrial area, but I'll get rid of the bus stops, because like I said, I want to start fresh. I want to start fresh again. So they're all going to go. And we'll build a better system. So all the bus stops here are now gone. I'll get rid of you there. And leave it as that. So, like I said, starting afresh. Right. Bus shelters. So we're going to come out of here. And we'll make it go this way round first. So we'll keep doing a bus stop every so often. Alright, so we'll do one there. And I want this to back itself up onto the line that'll go this way round. So if I just do 2 stops here and here, I'm going to do a stop. It probably makes sense to do the stop here, then there. So it'll come out there, stop there, stop there, stop there, and then we'll implement a stop here, and then it will come down to a stop. Let's say a stop there, because people might want to walk up to here without me having to run a bus all the way up there. A stop there on the way in, down to there, and we'll bring it down here. Stop just here. No, actually, we'll bring it to here. Stop there as it goes back out. Now, the other alternative is I could also create a bus route that goes the opposite way. Meaning I can have then bus stops on the opposite sides of all the roads. Which makes a huge amount of sense. I can then run less buses on the lines. So we've already got the double going down there. Have them going in both directions, and then the argument is we're so much more efficient. So this is just the industrial route that would connect to the industrial bus station. So we zoom right in, and we'll start on this one, and then we'll go out this way. So let's first initially connect it to all the stops in question, and then I'm going to change where the buses run if they go down a road that I'm not particularly happy with or like, which, looking at it, I think we're okay. So connect it back in. There we go. So that does exactly what I want it to do. And then I'll put this one on the outer skirts over here, and then run this one the opposite way round. So we got a clockwise and a counterclockwise. Now, this road here is really important, because this road here is going to share them 2 stops with the route that loops around this area. So that creates the crisscross crossover for 2 bus routes and makes it all integrated, so it doesn't feel like you have to go to your subway to connect to where you want to go to. So those 2 routes then will make 1 red and we'll do 1 blue. So it just makes life a little bit easier. Actually, no, we'll do it yellow and then we'll do orange, because it's like an industrial area. So, you know, we understand what them lines are for. Without having to name them, we kind of understand what they got to do. Now, buses for them, they're going to drop out 4 buses on the... You know what, that's fine. We'll come back and readjust the buses, but I think 4 would be fine. So hopefully all those bus stops are within the vicinity of everybody around these areas. Now, we're going to do the same for up here. So let me first initially get rid of the bus stops in question. Now, the other argument is, like we've just seen there, is although we do have 2 bus stops here, does it make more sense to also then stagger them like that? So the other route uses different stops. So if both buses come together, they're not having to wait for the bus in front to get off and utilize it. We've got other staggered stops. So we'll come out of here. Right. And obviously we're going to make it go up, down this way. So we'll do a double stop here. Bam, bam. So this is just the initial loop to begin with, okay? This is just the initial loop. And then... So we'll stop there. Actually, no. I'm going to put the stops here. I'll keep those in for another... No, I don't want to keep walking across that. Because we'll have another bus route that comes... Actually, I'll do it when we need to do it. So that's there. I'm going to do a double stop here then. So we'll get rid of this one. So coming down to then... Because that's right on the path here if they need to walk down. We'll do a double stop just there. I'll probably do another walkable path as well. And then We'll do a double stop here. And at that point then, the next one's into there, where it's coming straight down back into here. So create another route. And we'll start these with the very, very back end of it. Now, which way do we come out first? That way? Yes. So this will go here. And then the first stop will be just there. Next stop, just here. So there probably won't be that many buses on this setup, this line. And then back in. So it might be a case of where I create this as a road going down to make life a little bit easier for us. Alright, so first things first. It's going to go this way. So you can see with not having that road, how it kind of throws that line slightly off. Or how it visually looks like it anyway. Right, down to there. To there. All the way back around into this one. And then into there. Right, that completes those lines, but they don't look the greatest. So what I'm going to do is these little paths here, get rid. And I reckon I can actually run a normal road. Going right down. And then that then completely adjusts those bus routes. So them two that I've just created, I'm going to make green and we'll go dark green. How does that visually look? Yeah, we can see that right now. So we've got them green. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Actually, I might make it not dark green because the dark green is a little bit more difficult to see. We go a little bit lighter on the color. That's a bit better. Right, so we got those two routes now set up. And then we're going to do the same over here. We're going to create a little bit of a loop going around. But I might integrate this one into going up here to give it a bit more freedom. And then what we'll do is we'll create a bus route that connects this area to that area via, at the moment, the harbour and the office area. And then we'll have to create another... I mean, I might just create a separate one, just the outer route in general anyway. So you can see how it works. We kind of utilizing these two routes first is to kind of get the perimeter radius in collecting people to bring them to the major hub. And there won't be that many buses on. So that's where, you know, we won't have too many traffic issues. Actually, I might just sort that out now just to kind of, while I can. So these routes here, I don't see them being that busy. So 2 buses at most on them lines is probably the best way to go about it. There we go. You can also change your model, but I don't need to just yet. Now, the industrial route, I reckon same again. 2 buses. Until we start to see it looking overloaded. We'll keep it to 2 buses. That's all I need to do. That's all I need to do, boys. So, let's do this side then. Now, over here, to be honest with you, this area is not really built up that well. So it does become a little bit more difficult to implement a bus loop here. So I'm not going to. What I'm going to do instead is create the bus route that will go from here to there. And then we'll implement that route to kind of collect people here and then bring it back and obviously go here. So this will be probably, out of all the bus routes, the most busiest one. So zoomy right in. We'll pick the first one. Actually, no, we got to do the bus stops. So it's going to come down here and we're going to do a double stop there. We'll also implement the double stop here, which we've already got the double stop there in. So that works out perfectly for here. Now, when it comes to here, we don't need a bus stop there because what I can do is implement the transit terminal, which allows taxis to stop off and buses to stop off. So that taxi stop there can ultimately now go. So we'll utilize that in both directions. Now we'll get up to here. We'll do a double stop just here then as the entry point. And we'll do another double stop there, but we'll put it right up here instead. So double stop, double stop. I'm leading in. Oh no, I want to go around the region, don't I? So I think what we'll have is a stop there. That kind of comes into there, and then back out that way. Yeah, so this is done completely different to any other area. And it's pretty much borderline the same as what it once was. But if it works, boys. So, bleeding down this way. Now, we'll go in and collect people. And on the way back out, we'll stop there. So this is why this one will probably have the most amount of users until we do implement the subway stop by the harbour. So you can see why this will have a lot of people. And then we'll utilise the end one there. Bring it back down, stop it into there, and then back into here. So in reality then, we don't need a clockwise or counterclockwise. It's a dog leg route or dog bone route, if that's the best way you want to put it. So we'll keep that the colour that it is. There's no need to implement an additional run. But that's also being treated as the stop that goes to over there. So, you know, there's not a fat lot you can do about that, unfortunately. But then the other argument is, well, what about the line to get people all the way up to here? I think as of right now, I'm not going to do it. So I'll get rid of the bus stops. I'm not going to do it until I've extended or expanded this area a bit more, where I can then build something that will kind of benefit. So anybody who works over here right now, unfortunately, is going to have to drive if they've got a car on the island, might I add. So that route then is going to be quite busy. So I'm going to give it 10 buses and see how we get on. I'll change it to like a darkerish blue. There we go. Like I said, we'll see how we get on with that. Now, we'll let the buses settle down first, because we've got to figure out how we're going to implement a rail yard to kind of get connected to our subway. So that in itself is going to be a bit tricky. Right, everything's now adjusting. So I can put some industry back in to these areas. And then kind of let it all build back up. So it's going to be absolute chaos right now, and I'm hoping we do have enough buses, which we should do. A lot of buses will now return and new buses will now jump out. So this area over here then, we can now implement some commercial we'll go for. Makes a lot of sense. And then the same for over here as well. We'll drop in some commercial. Might as well get some shops down because of how busy this area is going to be. We're going to implement the station services on that one. All the station services are not being implemented here. Bus station services and the extra... No, the station services were implemented. It was the extra line and the taxi stand. And we've got it all over here, right? Add the station services just there. And did I get them on this one? I feel like I did. I did, yes. Right. So, hopefully that is a lot better than what originally was planned. There's a lot of people waiting. So this area is just going to be busy in general anyway, until all these people have been moved and shifted. But we can solve a lot of those problems and pains by implementing the metro. So right now, the buses are going to be completely overloaded. So we've got to implement the metro. Now to get the... I keep calling it metro, the subway. To get the subway in, we're going to need a subway yard, which is a really, really, really big building. Really big building right now. And it's not as easy as you think and expect to get said building in. You know what I mean? I mean, putting it there would be such a cool idea. But I'm going to have to kind of create an area in which I can utilize it, which means I might need to buy some additional tiles. So, we've got $1 million to spend. I'm going to buy $500,000 these 4 tiles here. Now, does the topography allow me to do so? Believe it or not, it actually doesn't. It's not the greatest area for topography to kind of do what I need it to do. I can terrain it, which is not an issue. But they're not going to like me terraining it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reclaim a little bit of land and build a kind of a subway yard around this area. Don't want to do it there now thinking about it. Yeah, no, I'm going to do it here. So this road here, we're going to push this out. And I'm going to create like a 90 degree here for just a moment. And just see what we can do here. So we've got this road, which will continue going forward as normal. And a subway yard, which is a very, 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 very big building. Now, I could build it right there, or I could build it on a slight diagonal. Or I could reclaim a little bit of land to kind of build it like that. I like the idea of reclaiming land. That kind of suits my idea a lot better. But the idea is, how much land do I need to reclaim? That actually could be the perfect amount. We'll go just a tad bit further. Right, I don't like how you terrain in this game. As soon as your mouse goes over that tiny bit, it's game over. See what I mean? You've got to do it so slow. It's kind of annoying. Right. So yeah, it'll be nice to have this here, and then it can implement itself however it needs to be and however it needs to go. It's just got to go underground. So we kind of need to create a 50 degree, a 45. What kind of degree angle do I go with? So if I was to put it here. A 45 wouldn't be too bad, but a 45 doesn't really work that well. I could do a 55. Because a 45 degree... No, it can't be 45. It's going to have to be unfortunate. Well, I say unfortunately, there's nothing unfortunate about this. We'll do a 55 degree angle. And then we can drop in you here. The subway yard. And then utilize the main line for it. So the main line is what's going to ultimately bend out and go into a tunnel. So if I brought you to there, and then this bending round to here, if I kind of changed this, so that would go to there. Right, that hasn't dropped down as much as I would hoped it did. So let me delete you and delete you and delete you. And what level are we on? We're on -10. So is that now considered to be low enough? So let's pull that to there. So I've... Oh, damn it. I didn't mean to delete all of it. So there to there. And then the old bender-rooney on it. Okay, maybe not. I forgot to incline it. Like a fool. I did it again. I forgot to incline it all the way up. Right, third time's a charm. Alright, to civilization. It does eat into it. It is, I think it might be way too low. To be honest with you. I think it might be way too low, how I've got that. Alright, this is a -12 now, okay? it's set to a -12. And let me delete that back again. So -12, so we'll go to there to initially here. -10. -12. So that happens, and it stops just there on the edge, which is perfect. So if I just delete that back now, because I've got that entry point there, which works out well for me. Oh, that's straight. That's not what I want it to do. Right, where was I again? So the bend. And if I raise this to 2.5, so then that's going to be raised to 0. I can do a bit of terraining for that. So that's on the main drag of line, but obviously we would want to try and implement these additional ones. Now this is a single track. I wonder if there is a way in which we can kind of also keep that. No, going straight. So down by -12. No. No, 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 no. And that's completely messed this all up now, hasn't it? Right, so this then, this is confusing me because it's a single track that allows a single direction. But all right, let me see here, boys. So the reality would be that I would want to get this connected in. Now, a complex curve would suggest this. That's too much. I would suggest being able to run so far down. So if I go to a -12 and say I connected you into there. Oh, that has just worked out extremely in my favor. So now all of a sudden we're all good. So from there to there hasn't worked. I think because I started where I started. Right, that's going to cause me headaches, isn't it? It is going to cause me a huge headache. I'll come back to this, okay, because it's going to take me forever to kind of get it exactly how I want to get it. I could also argue by just not having this road here and have that kind of bend into that road will give me a little bit more freedom to kind of bend everything down and get it entwined connected. So let me just get this line here. Now, eventually, you could see us running an additional subway line going down here, which would kind of then bend off and go down in this direction. Where it chooses to bend and connect is beyond me. Okay, it's going to be beyond me. But what I will do is I will have this here run to there. I will then have it snap just here, run straight, and then is that low or high? I'm not sure what height variation this is on. Okay, it's a lot lower. And try and get this to turn into that. So now we have a direct connection to the rail yard, which is important for us. So if I quickly pause, and if I now go and create a subway line, which would, of course, stop or start here on the way up. Now, which side of the tracks do I get to run on? It would be on the right-hand side, wouldn't it? Bam. All the way up here to, which would be considered straight into there. All the way back down. And I'll probably get 2 trains running on this. No more than that. No more than 2 is needed. No more than 2 is going to be needed. So, 4 stops. It's already oh, do you know what? To be honest with you, it might only be 1 train. Let's just start with 1 train to begin with, because I don't know how busy that's going to be. Now, can I spawn said train? Because it's technically... I can't, because we're not... It's on the main line, and there's no way we can connect to the main line, so I'm going to have to create these connections, aren't I? I actually am. So I reckon if I can sort this line out, which is the line going directly out. So go to 0. 0. And then that's going to bend there down to -12. Right. But then try... I mean, I don't need to do anything else by the looks of it. Bam. Say to there. And then there. No. No, Celiac. No. That one kind of works, but I'm not liking that, how it connects. Let me delete that to there and then try from here. It's a lot more difficult to do. I think I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Because I don't need to do anything else. And I'm now just wasting time. Right, delete you. And then just run this. Oh, no. Oh, no. Don't tell me I've lost it. No, we're all good. We're all good. So, play mode then. I should have now a train spawn out of the building. Which I do. So, now I've got a metro train. An underground subway. I keep calling it metro. It's annoying me. It's annoying me calling it a metro right now. Right, that's underway. Very good, very good, very good. So I won't know the full extent of the full effect of it now actually physically working until we see a lot more people traveling to and from the area. So let's say, for example, this area. We're now getting people walking over to the stop. But over here, we had a lot of people waiting at the buses, didn't we? Now, we still will have it. You can see in the distance in the background right now, people walking to the subway stop. So it will take a lot of people away from the buses, which we kind of want it, because it means people can transport themselves to destinations a lot quicker. And there'll be less buses on the road and all that kind of jazz. But if it takes away too much, then the buses are going to be pointless. But I still feel like the way we set it up, we're always going to have a need for buses. We'll just have to reduce how many buses. So I think I just heard. So where is the train? Where is the... Ah, there it is. There's no way I can even select it. I can look underground. Can I select it underground? Subway train. Right, there's 14 people on board right now. Okay, 14 people on board. It's coming through. Stops off here. It can hold up to 1,000 people. 200 people now getting on board. And off it now goes. We may have just transformed OilTown very dramatically. And can it do this bend? Okay, there's nothing to worry about that bend. Apparently it can do it. Unloading the 200 and loading up the then 170. Oh, good gosh. This is going to, of course, chaos. Now, this could also have the opposite effect, where we're thinking that it's going to take a lot of people away from the buses. But when it drops off 200 people at once, and those 200 people want to then get on a bus to go to a destination, that then overloads our buses. But the fact that 86 are going down in this direction shows that we do have demand for the industrial areas. And then 70 odd and loading up. That is amazing. I'm actually really impressed. 400. Okay, I want to see these 400 unload up here. That's what I want to see next. That's going to be absolutely wild. That really is. Alright, they're going to bend in. Right. Let's take a look. So there's a lot of people now getting off. Granted, they might not want to go for the buses, but that's moving a lot of people. A lot of people all of a sudden now can access areas they could not once access before. They can afford to go to areas because they've only got to pay for one ticket rather than multiple bus tickets. But it's wild. I can't see this blue route doing much at the moment for this area because everything is walkable in general anyway. But boy oh boy, are we now moving so many more people. I wonder what stats this is going to change for the city. I wonder what it will change. Now, we spent a lot of money. Forget that for just a moment. Crime rate. I mean, if I base it over, say, the last 6 months. Education. I wonder what would happen. Now, have you noticed that poorly educated is starting to come down? Because educated numbers are increasing. So people are actually changing, which is good. Public transport right now. We're going to see a lot of people all of a sudden going to be utilizing Subway. Which Subway is the greeny bluey color. So that'll take a while for it to come into effect. We might have to wait another month to kind of skip it. We might have to wait a while in general anyway for to see what changes from the fact that we now have a subway line in. Wow, this is going to transform everything, guys. This really is going to transform everything. So, subway numbers, it is getting used quite heavily. I'm going to charge $12 for a ticket. And the buses will remain at $8. So it will always be cheaper to get a bus. But it'll be more time consuming to utilize a bus. So subway numbers are looking pretty good. Now bus numbers, do you know what? The percentages on those are actually pretty impressive. Now that could change the longer we go on. And I still feel like it makes sense to implement a subway line here. Because the amount of people that get on and off these ships... That's cargo, that's passenger ship, 100 people there. Would really benefit from a subway stop. They really would. So what do you guys reckon? Let me know in the comment section down below right now. What do you guys reckon? Should I implement a subway stop at the harbour? Does it make sense? It kind of does and it doesn't. It's just it's going to be a bit tricky trying to implement it. I could implement it around here. And just have them walk to it. But it really does then take away from the buses. At least it gives the bus, that blue bus route, a reason for people to get on it. Because, it's within the distance. It's actually connected to the building. Oh my goodness me, boys. This is gonna... The amount of people right now is wild. Now, I think the one train is fine. But it does mean... If I had two... It will be more frequent, and the bulk of people getting off will be less to kind of spread the traffic capacity. But I think it's okay. There is still people walking to the bus stop, but subways are the one. We've really hit the heart of being able to get people to their destinations. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Now, once we start seeing the public transport numbers increase for subway, then we can then start to see how then the statistics are slowly being affected. I think rather than adding a second train to that line, what I would do is create an additional line that will run down here and then turn this way as we extend further down this part of the area. That's most likely what we'll do. So they'll crisscross on these. Yeah, that's probably how we would go about doing it. This is wild. Now, are we seeing the same amount of bulkiness of people walking out of this one? Yes, we are. There is no difference. It just now means with like schooling and stuff like that, it becomes a lot more accessible for everybody. Same with the college. Now, that's why I wanted to kind of extend down this way, because I reckon that's where we can eventually move the college and the university, just slightly out of the town a little bit. That would be absolutely amazing. So, with public transport now implemented, guys, things are going to change around here. They really are. They really are. I'm still waiting for this to update, though. I'm not sure. Well, we've got to wait till the next month. That's what we have to do. So that might be a couple of episodes yet before we actually see these changes hit effect. But wow, we've invested big styly. Big styly, boys. And when it comes to now services, transportation numbers, we're getting quite a bit of cash coming in, but there is a lot of maintenance you've got to pay for. But it's worth it in the end. It is worth it in the end, guys. It really, really is. We are flourishing. We're not just surviving, but we are flourishing. Now, I can't pretend and lie and say it's changing right now, but unemployment is at our lowest yet. That is a combination of getting more educated people, and now there is a better way for people to get to and from work, so it makes life a lot easier. Those existing bus routes... Where's the stops here? There's a couple of stops there. There's 2 people waiting on this one. No one's really waiting on this one right now. Is this bus station over here being utilised? Where is it? Do we see many people waiting? We do. There's actually a couple there. There's a couple at the top end as well. So they are catching the bus to go to the industrial wider area, which is pretty sweet. Now, we've got this road down here, which is a little bit more difficult to view. But you can also see the amount of people waiting at these stops. So it could be a case of we actually technically do not have enough capacity on our buses. Like, this is going to come in now, this bus here. And while it does pick up a lot of people, you know, it's only going to bulk up with even more people. So that stop there is dramatic. Where's the buses for this? Here's the bus coming in right now, which is going to be full. It's actually got 2 more people on than the bus can actually hold. But there's still 60 odd people waiting, so it's an interesting one. I think it might just give it a bit of time for it to all kind of sink in. There's still large demands for buses and people getting on them in general, but I'm quite happy with this. I'm quite happy with it, guys. Give it time. We'll see what happens. Is there an issue over here? Oh, there's been a van that's crashed. Yeah, we'll see what happens as time goes on. But I'm excited to see what happens. Where it goes. Buses are still being used to great percentages. The subway line is looking really good as well. Damn. This has changed the game. Guys, we're going to end it here. I hope you did enjoy this episode. If you did, please smash the like button down below. And until next time, I will see you all soon. So, goodbye.